So hey there, welcome back. And if you are looking for the solution of this particular contest, then you are at the right place. So today we are going to discuss another contest, which is Weekly Contest 506. And today we are going to discuss some of the problems. So let's get started. So let's start with the first problem, right? So first problem is always easy as usual, right? So let's see what the problem is. That you are given a positive integer n. Let digit sum be the sum of the digit of n, and let square sum be the sum of the squares of the digit of n. Got it? An integer is called good if square sum minus digit sum is greater than or equal to 50. Return true if n is good, otherwise return false. So you see, it's just a straightforward problem. You just know how to find the digit of a number. If you know, then you are good to go, right? So this is what we have done over here, right? So I have just created a two function. First function is calculating the square, and the second function is calculating the digit sum. And the code is quite simple. If you see, I can also write it in a single function by just passing another flag, but I have just written it into two different functions for the better understanding, right? So I just calling this function and just returning if they are satisfying the condition or not. So this is the first problem, which is quite easy, I guess, right? And it, like, some most of the time the contest first question is always easy, but it's pretty easy, right? So let's talk about second problem, right? And the interesting thing is that LeetCode recently changed their description, right? So well, in the morning, if you are solving it at like in the morning 9 a.m. or 10 a.m., then the description is different, right? And after a few hours, they have just changed the description, because at that time the description is really worse. Like, you are not able to understand the problem. I also took a lot of time to actually understand the problem, write down every test cases to actually got to know that okay, what exactly I have to do in this particular problem, right? But now they have made it little easier for the people to understand, right? So if you see, you are given an integer and nums. Got it? Define a frequency balance subarray as follow. If the subarray contain only one distinct value, it is frequency balance. Okay. Otherwise, there must exist a positive integer f such that every distinct value in the subarray, either f or 2f times, and both frequencies occur among the distinct value. Got it? Return an integer denoting the length of the longest frequency balance subarray. So what we have to do, we have to return a frequency balance subarray, right? And what it is, if you see, in this particular case, our answer is 2122, and why the element that appear most frequent are 2 and 3, both appear twice, right? So this is the description written, which matches the previous description which the LeetCode has like removed and edited it, right? But now let's understand why this is a valid case and what the problem asking us to do, right? So if you see, right, so this is the case, and in the problem statement what they have clearly mentioned that there must exist a positive integer f such that every distinct value in the subarray occur f or 2f time, which means whatever the number is inside the array, inside the subarray which we are going to form subarray, there should be only two types of element. What type of element? They only occur f time or either or 2 into f time, right? If the element occurring that number of time, which means they are valid. Otherwise, if there is any particular element which is not satisfying this condition, then that is not a part of our answer, right? So this is what we have to achieve, and that is what they are asking us to do, right? And if you see why this is becoming a part of the answer is that if you see, 2 is occurring 2 times, 3 is occurring 2 times, and 1 is occurring 1 time, right? So if you see the frequencies, so 3 and 2 all both have the same frequency, which means we have only two distinct type of frequency, right? 1 and 2. And if you see, if we consider 1 as like first frequency as f, then we also have 2 into f frequency as well. If we consider value of f as 1, then we also have this, so which is equal to 2, right? So this is what we have to do. So basically what you have to understand, whatever the subarray you are going to form, make sure that the subarray should only contains two type of distinct frequencies element. What I'm talking about is that if you see, in this particular array we have three distinct element, but the frequency is only 2. Why? Because 2 is there and 1 is there, so the frequency count is 2. So that what we have to achieve over here, so which is actually a most important thing in this particular problem. And let's say if the arrays look like this, 1 1 1 2 2 2 and 3 and 3. So this is not a valid case. Why? Because if you see the frequency count, no, like this is also a valid case, because in this particular case, not exactly the valid, sorry for that, because the frequency is not the following the pattern of f is equal to 2 into f, right? So this is not satisfying in this particular case, so this is not a valid case, right? So this is also not valid, sorry for that. So this is what we have to mention, and this is what we have to do, that if there is an element which is occurring 2 into f time, there may be many elements, so make sure that rest of the element should only appear f number of time, right? So if that subarray contain this particular behavior, which means it is a part of our answer, right? So let's see how we can think about it. So firstly, based on the like constraint which I saw on the first, like if you see the nums of I is 10 to the power 9, but the length of nums is 10 to the power 3, which means I also thought of a brute force. Okay, we can apply brute force. So what I have done, I've just write it out the steps. Generate all subarrays, right? And while generating, I'm just what I'm doing, I'm just counting the occurrence of the numbers. I'm verifying if they are occurring f and 2f time. If it is, then I'm simply returning true, and while returning true, we are just counting it in our answer. But the issue is that it is giving me the time complexity of O of n cube, right? Because we are generating subarray and we are calling another function which is also running for the O of n times, right? So which is going to be O of n cube, right? So I thought of a different approach where we are actually calculating, like we are pre-computing the stuffs, right? So first you should need to understand what we are actually want in this particular problem, and if you are done with that, then you need to like figure out that how you can actually going to pre-compute and going to reduce the time complexity. So if you see this, what I have written, it took me a long time to actually come up with this particular approach. So if you're not, then don't get demotivated, right? So this is what I have been doing over here. I have just created an like I'm just looping through the elements and make sure I have created a two frequency and a count frequency. Why? Because it is counting element frequency, right? And but this one is counting the frequency itself, which means how many times, like what for example, let's explain it over here. Let's say 1 is occurring 1 time and 2 is occurring 2 times. So inside this we are storing this particular information that 1 is occurring 1 time and 2 is occurring 2 times, right? So here we are actually storing that particular information, but the first key is representing their frequency, not the element. But in the first one we are considering the element. Here we are considering the element, but here we are not considering the element, right? So this is what we have. That's why we have created a two different hash map, and after that I'm just iterating over the subarray and just getting the value of the current element, and I'm just checking what is the main purpose of like calculating the previous. Why? Because just understand it that first map is used to store the frequency of the element, right? But the second map is used to store the element frequencies count, like how many times that particular frequency occurred, right? So for example, that I have told you that, let's say if we are just considering about the first this one, right? Let's say we are considering this particular array or subarray, which is 2 1 2 3 3, right? So initially we are starting from the second index, and I'm just checking inside the frequency map that we don't have anything, which means we are not going to be entered in this particular case. Then we are calculating a new frequency. So previously we don't have 2 in any of our maps, so the frequency become 1. So we are inserting inside the 1, which means now inside our frequency 2 is occurred one number of time, and inside our count frequency what we are storing, what is the count of that particular number, right? So it is 1, which is occurring one time, which means 1 is not an element, it is a count, right? So 1 is occurring one number of time, then we move to 1, then we again check inside our frequency map, we don't have it, so we are not going to be inside this particular case. Then we are again creating our frequency, putting inside the frequency, so the frequency map is going to store 1 is coming one number of time. But after running this particular case, we are moving toward this and we are incrementing it, that one appeared two number of time. Why? Because we found two element which is occurring one number of time, right? So that's what we are incrementing over here. So this is what this particular case is doing. And while doing this, we are just also calling our function that is balance, right? I will just go through it once. I will explain this particular part, right? And let's say we again move to 2, right? In that case, when we fetch, we get the value as 1, right? Because we already have seen 1 over here and with the frequency of 1. So this part is going to be executed. Then what we are doing, we are just removing the frequency of that particular element. Why? Because let's say you know that previously 2 is occur one number of time and 1 is occur one number of time, right? So and here what we have done, we have considered that 2 is the frequency of like 2 is the frequency of the element which are occurred that number of time. For example, 2 appear one number of time and 1 appeared one number of time, which means these are the frequencies. 1 and 1 are the two frequencies which two different elements have, right? So that's why we have incremented a 2, but now 2 appear again, which means the two frequencies not 2 1, it become 2. In that case we have to change it, right? So but here you see we already included 2, but 2 is not a part of this particular case. So that's why we are removing it from the count, so that we will consider it into only to those elements which have that kind of frequency, right? So this is why we are just decrementing, and if this is 0, then we are simply removing it. And after that, which means it become 1, which means only there is only one frequency which is occurring one number of time, which contributed by 1, right? And after that I'm just calculating the frequency. Now we already have frequency as 1, so my new frequency become 2, right? So new frequency is 2. So inside my map, which is going to update as 2, and inside the count we got another frequency which is 2, which is occur one number of time. So this is what we are going to update. So this is what we are doing over here. After that we have this function which is balance. So let's see what we are doing over here. So there are some edge cases which we need to take care of, because it will give you a lot of wrong summation if you are not able to not understand it and not handle all the edge cases, right? So this is the length. What I am doing, I'm just passes the Subarray size, right? And I'm just checking if we only have one element, then we just simply return true. Why? Because if you see inside this progress, they already mentioned that only distinct value is frequency is value. So this is the part true, right? And now we have a count frequency. If we only have one frequency, which means, for example, let's say we have 3 different elements and all have the same frequency. So in that case, the map is only going to contain a one number of element, right? So we are just checking it value and just returning it if the values are unique, right? So this is what we are doing. After that, I'm just checking if the counter size is not equal to 2. Why? Because we only want 2 element, f or 2f. If apart from that there is any different element, which means it is not a part of our answer, or we are not actually looking for it, right? And after that, if it is not the case, which means we only have 2 elements, right? Because we only care about those 2 elements, right? And after that I'm just calculating the minimum from it and maximum from it, and I'm just checking this particular condition, which is this one, right? And if it is satisfy the condition, I'm just simply returning the value, right? And after that, whenever this part get executed, I'm just calculating the maximum size of subarray. So this is the whole code of this particular problem. Look like it's a pretty good problem. You actually got to learn a lot of stuff from this particular problem. But it also took me a lot of time to understand the problem, but now they have improved it a little further to actually make it easier, like. And if you not believe me, you can just check out the discussion section. You got to know that what I'm actually talking about, right? So this is it about the today video, and I hope you are able to understand the solutions, and you are also able to get the intuition and how to actually think about such problems in upcoming contests. So if you are able to understand, do let me know in the comment section. I love to read the stuff which you guys have posted. So yeah, this is it the video, and if you're not able to solve it, don't get demotivated. Just learn from your mistakes and be ready for the next contest, right? So this is for today, and yeah, bye bye, take care. Just let's meet on another contest.